Welcome. Suspiria was released in 1977 and was directed by Dario Argento, who I've already reviewed a movie on the channel, Opera. But this movie stars Jessica Harper and is about an American dancer named Susie who is accepted into a dance school in Germany, where weird occurrences start to happen when she reaches the school. This is one of my favorite horror movies. It's definitely in my top 5. It is so great. I just love so much of it, which I might be a little biased with it, but I'm going to try to keep this review as not biased as I possibly can. But a little bit will seep in just because I love this movie so much. It is gorgeously shot. The acting is good. The dubbing isn't as good, kind of like issues with Opera. But there's so many great things about this movie, and it is such a classic, which I highly recommend everybody to watch it if you've never seen it before. My girlfriend Tina, she bought me a special version of it. Here, I'll put it up to the screen. This is a little bit of a spoiler, but that's probably the most iconic scene of the movie. But as you can tell, I really love this movie. Getting into some positives about it though, the cinematography is absolutely gorgeous and is probably one of the best shot films I have ever seen in my life. The colors just explode on the screen, and there's so much attention to detail with it. I mean, there's so many times where you'll enter a building and just the design and patterns on the walls and colors just absolutely just catch your eye. And it's one of the most gorgeous movies you will ever watch in your life. Tina, you definitely have to flash some of these shots on the screen, just right, boom, beautiful picture, boom, beautiful picture, boom, 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 everywhere. This film is just absolutely gorgeous. Jessica Harper as Susie, who's our main protagonist in this movie, is brilliant. I mean, her acting is phenomenal. The thing that stinks is that a lot of the lip dubbing around her isn't that great, but she does an amazing job working around that and really showing so much depth to her character and using a lot of facial acting with her eyes and her mouth and just the way she looks in certain scenes. She just, great job. There's not much I can say about it. Great job. I love her. She's amazing in this movie. And apparently she's in the remake, the 2018 one, which that'll be the review for next Tuesday. But I'm so excited to see her in that and see who she plays and what she does in that role. The deaths in this movie are so amazing and shot so cool. I went in not knowing much about this movie when I watched it the first time, which was maybe 3 months ago was the first time I saw it. But I went in not knowing any of the death scenes, basically knowing nothing except for the one picture that's on this cover. But the death scenes surprised me so much by how creative they were. I mean, some of these deaths are so obscure, but in the context of the movie, they work so well. I mean, the first death, brilliant, such an iconic scene. The death that goes along with it, so great. I mean, just all of these death scenes were shot so masterfully, and the blood effects were so great. He decides to use a really, I don't even know how to describe this red, but just a really dark liquidy red. And I don't want to say it looks fake, because sometimes it's a little bit weird, but it just does a great job of adding so much color to these pale women, and just when you're dying and your face gets really white and pale, just having that contrast of a really not light, but just this really deep red just going on their face and all this stuff. And I can't talk it up enough. I mean, the makeup effects for it with that red are so amazing. And I can't talk about Suspiria without mentioning the score behind it, which was written and performed by a band named Goblin. it is probably a top 3 score for me in all movies. I mean, it adds so much depth to the movie. The music is just so amazing. I can't get out of my head. I mean, I could just hear in my head the da-na-na-na-na-na-na, like just that in my head, that little theme, the main theme of Suspiria, and the little witch. I wish I could play it, but I think that's copyright, so probably can't play it. I'm sorry, but if you have the time, I highly suggest listening to the soundtrack of this movie. And lastly, I mean, the end sequence of this movie is so great. I mean, you're on the edge of your seat the entire time. There's a little bit of a plot twist that gets you. There's a really nice scare and a really nice creepy moment within it. It just has everything you want for the end of a horror movie, and it ends so great. It ends a little abruptly, but I mean, there's not much you could do with the way it ends. I mean, if you were to add more to that ending, then it becomes too much. Like, okay, you should have ended it here. So I like it where it ended off the movie. The only cons you could really have with this movie are the same with opera, with the dubbing and the translating. The dialogue is a little bit wonky in certain scenes with like just the translation and stuff, and the dubbing isn't the best, but it's not as noticeable as it is in opera. Other than that, this is a fantastic movie. Definitely Dario Argento's best movie, and in my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time. I'm gonna give Opera a 10 out of 10, and I definitely recommend this movie. It is fantastic. Just watch it. I don't even want to say anything else about it. Just watch it. So thank you everyone for watching. If you have any other suggestions for movies to watch, put them in the comments. But next Tuesday is going to be the remake of Suspiria in 2018. I hear there's a lot of mixed feelings about it, with half of the people saying this is a great remake, it adds so much to the original and stuff like that. But then I also hear from the opposite side that it's too different from the original and it strays too much away. So I'm going to see how I feel about it, but if I'm hearing that's the only complaint of this movie, then I'm not going to have a problem with it, because I don't want an exact copy of the same movie. And I feel like people are saying that it's too different, don't realize how terrible it would be if it was exactly the same. I mean, let's think of Psycho in 1998, where they basically just shoot the same movie shot for shot, dialogue for dialogue. It's a terrible movie. Vince Vaughn is in it. Why? That's the only thing I could say was why. But as I said before, thank you everyone for watching, and let's flash forward to the next review.